Alrighty, good evening. Thank you for listening. As always, I am Dave, and this is the CREEDCAST, recording here on Thursday, the 16th of October, reasonably late into the evening, getting around our squads, the squad show for a game that is happening at this moment tomorrow. Actually, it's going to be almost finished by this time tomorrow evening. Yes, it is a short turnaround to our game. We are playing Friday night footy this week. Your Port Adelaide ladies playing against the Hawthorn Hawks, 6:45 p.m. Alberton Standard Time at Alberton in a great Friday night showdown upcoming for us. Really exciting stuff. I'm here once again, solo tonight. Jamie is still on podcast paternity leave. He did mention earlier, I think, that he's hoping to get back on next week. He's itching to get back on and get chatting Port footy, as those who have been listening over the past couple of weeks know. He's still been sending in some quite extensive thoughts in the in voice notes, which has been quite appreciated. He's off tonight with there's no voice notes or anything from Jamie tonight, so it'll make for a fairly short episode tonight. As Jamie, he's a bit up and down with a bit of a cold at the moment that he's battling through. So get well soon, Jamie, and otherwise very, very pleased that he's been able to take that time with the family over the last few weeks and all that. Go back and listen to previous episodes if you haven't caught up with that. And if you're new, thank you for joining us. Jamie and his partner welcomed a new child a couple of weeks ago, so he's been off just settling in with the family, which is wonderful. So yeah, anyway, back to the topic at hand. It is the squad show, and it is a match against Hawthorn coming up tomorrow evening, Friday night footy at Alberton. Some big changes to our side. There's a couple of changes for Hawthorn. We'll just mention them briefly first. They've got Grace Barber and Tamara Smith coming in for Michaela Williamson and Ellie Simons. I believe Michaela got some form of injury last week, and then I'm not sure. Assume Ellie. I'm not sure if there was an omission or not there, but on our end, it's the changes have been rung. Interestingly, Alyssa Brooke and Lily Patterson have been omitted, which is an interesting one. It is just there's a lot of young players coming through the side. They're popping them in for a little bit of experience, popping them out. It's needs-based stuff at times, but I've been reasonably happy with their contributions over the weeks. Lily Patterson in particular coming in this year has impressed me at times. I know Jamie cottoned onto her performance early as well, but they've been omitted along with Piper Windows obviously out, concussion, a cheek fracture of some sort. So she's had a bit of, obviously from that collision last week. We all know that what happened there with Piper in the game against Brisbane, just a hard luck season for Piper. Can't catch a break as far as her injuries are concerned, but she's out. Interestingly, but not surprisingly, I guess when you consider the long journey that Lauren Young's had back to this side, she is out to being managed. So I wonder if there's a pre-planned aspect to that, was as far as how much load they wanted to put through her body, having come off a couple of ACLs prior to her debut. But she is being officially managed, which is an interesting move. But she's got a few weeks into the side now. She's impressed us. She's been very impressive. Both, obviously, the fact that she's come in and is kicking goals and providing a target up forward that week, a couple of weeks ago against the Bulldogs. I mean, great moment when she kicked her first, but she could have had 3 on the night if a couple of half chances had gone her way. So we've been really impressed with her. I've been really impressed with her work around the ground as well, just tackling, pressure, reading of the game, all those things. There's a lot of intangibles that you can just kind of see in Lauren Young's game already. So I've been really impressed with that. But she's managed, again, have to assume there's just some load management thing, being a bit careful with her. But it is interesting to me that whether that's a little bit of looking forward already, because if you're really looking forward to next season, because if you really got any expectation out of this season, and she's not carrying an injury, you'd think you'd have her playing in this game against Hawthorn, a side that we need to win to keep our remote chances alive. So I think that's already, to me, and feel free to debate, on Twitter or whatever, or in the YouTube comments wherever you may be watching. And thank you for listening and or watching, however you're intaking the podcast. I don't think you're resting Lauren Young or managing unless they've just the sports scienced it down hard and just no, she needs a rest. but if you're really, really wanting to battle for finals still, I just think that she's so already proven enough. But whether she is just there's some genuine soreness there, but then you think maybe they'd mention, I don't know. It's just managed is always an interesting one to me. But it's if there's some soreness there, if she's reporting some tiredness or some some soreness in joints or muscles or anything like that from playing her first AFL games in a while, I'd just be interested to know what goes into this particular manage. I'm assuming it is a load management thing, but then it's also like she is so already showing us so much, adding so much to that forward line, and that high half forward and up the ground stuff a little bit, that she is a big miss, I think, in a game that if we were genuinely hoping to play finals, and I'm sure like they're still going to go out there and attack this game absolutely 100%. But we are, managing a player of the talent of Lauren Young in a game like this does lower your ceiling. For me, I think just with how impressed I am with her game, it is really more of a compliment to her. And I'll get into the ins in a moment. But I just love her game already, and I think if she is genuinely battling some soreness and things like that, then maybe it's like it's managed is an interesting way of putting it, because we just don't know what that exactly means. If it's a pre-planned thing, if there is some genuine soreness there, is her ability to get through a game not there? And then that's going down the road of an injury to me. Like even if it's just soreness, it's still an injured out, but it's a managed out. So interesting, the terminology and all that stuff. I could just be overthinking it, and that's me as a Port fan. And I am genuinely starting to look more forward to 2026 now myself. As much as I hope that they go on a miracle run here and find their way into finals, that'd be wonderful. But I've got to have some pragmatism to it too, as far as tempering my expectations as based on what I've seen this year. So Lauren Young. That's a long-winded way of going through our outs. Our ins, Jazzy Evans, who's a debutant from this year. Jazzy Stewart is in as well, one that's been in and out of the side over the past couple of years. Abby Dowrick is in, which is a big one. And Chloe Gaunt is back in for the first time in a month and a half at least. She's obviously played a bit in the start of the season as a bit of second ruck and an extra forward target. I think that's particularly with Lauren Young going out, who's been provided a bit of a focal point out forward as well. And Ash Woodland, after last week and after some of her performances this year, she's predominantly going to be playing more through the middle. We need her doing that. She can still go down forward and do that, but she's, with no Teakle, no Young. Chloe Gaunt comes in. She can play a bit of ruck, and it's a good opportunity for her. She needs to, whatever she's learned over the last 6 weeks out of the side and continuing to train after getting some time in the side earlier. I'd like to see if she's found a little bit more understanding of her role, and particularly her role in this one will be to just be a bit of a chop out ruck. She won't have to take too much ruck duty. Matilda does genuinely take a fair bit, but when Matilda's off or whatever, then Chloe's going to get her shot in the ruck. And in between that, I'm battling a little bit of cold at the moment as well. And when you're constantly talking on a podcast, you don't get to take a break. It kind of builds up on you. Chloe, and she's going to be, provide a focal point down forward as well. She's shown a propensity to take a mark and kick a goal already. We saw that earlier in the year, so hopefully she can do a bit of that. And it's just, for me, Chloe Gaunt, and while I was happy, I want every success for everyone, but why I was okay with her being dropped earlier in the year was that she just didn't provide enough around the ground. All those things that I'm already noticing from like a Lauren Young, they're different players, obviously, but I'm just, with me, thinking that Chloe's half come in because Lauren's gone out and there's, the focal point stuff. Abby Dowrick will play a bit down forward. Indy Tahoe. We've got a lot of players that can rotate in and out, but we're missing target women down there a little bit. But it's going to be the around the ground stuff. Like Lauren Young was able to, apply pressure, apply tackles, do a lot of things. She was able to build up, even if she wasn't building, filling out the stat sheet heavily. She was getting some stats in there, here and there. And there was some Chloe Gaunt games where it was just like one disposal, a tackle and a hit out and kind of that kind of stuff. It was real low rung stats. So we want to see if she's found a way, and it's partly the coaching of it too and how we're playing. I've said that a lot this year as well, is like the way we've been playing this year just hasn't lent itself to being able to carry a second ruck that can't do, like Matilda Scholes, as we've said time and time again, is a unicorn of a player and can do so much around the ground as well, and play as a midfielder and all those things. So whereas Chloe just hasn't got that filled out game. So I think at times this year, the way we were playing, she kind of got lost in the shuffle on the field because without doing any ruck stuff, or if the ball's not going forward, she just kind of was, I'm trying to think of the right term here, just kind of lost between the lines, not able to impact the game, and her speed wasn't there. So like we were just playing with it, she just wasn't able to impact the game. So it'd be interesting to see how, one, what she's learnt and can bring in this week, and two, if we've learnt to play, because I think partly it's her inexperience and partly it's the way we're playing. It's not completely her fault. She's an incredibly young player as well, like a lot of ours. So she's got lots of room for improvement and lots of time for improvement. So I'm not at all worried about that. But she just needs to. We have to find a way to play a little bit better with these kind of players in the side, and be better about getting a disposal inside 50 for the likes of Chloe Gaunt to be able to take a mark, because we could utilise her so much better immediately, even if she's still got a lot of skills to work on, just by being better going inside 50. So that'll be a big part of a watch for me tomorrow night as I'm down there at the game. Otherwise, obviously, those are the ins and outs. Abby Darrick's a big one to get back in. We're looking like, Ash Woodland's been named in the centre, and they've made a particular point, I think, particularly after last week, to kind of be like, you're really playing as a midfielder now. Shanae Goody named in the middle as well. Goody named in the midi, I think was what was about to come out of my mouth. I'm liking seeing Goody on the ball more. I'm liking seeing Woodland on the ball more. There's a dynamism to our midfield, and obviously Abby Darrick comes in and she can play either that high. She'll play predominantly through the middle, but she can be named a half forward, and she has had. There was a game last year, and I can't think of it now. I wish I'd thought of this before. I just happened to bring it up, but there was a game last year where Darrick went forward and it was like dynamite there for a 5-minute period. So, and of course Indy Tahoe down forward as well. We're going to miss. Obviously, there's a few players missing there. Obviously, Piper Window's not available. Kirsty Lamb's not available. So we're missing a bit of grunt and leadership there, a mixture of grunt and in Piper Window, and then the leadership and grunt of Kirsty Lamb. But Abby coming back in is a big one to get back in. So, and Jasmine Stewart has been kind of a bit of a journeywoman story as far as her time in the side, but she's a popular player, and she will provide something there as well. So, looking at our opponents, kind of the key one I'm actually looking at is, they've got some great players that are accumulating some ball this year. The likes of Tilly Lucas Rod, Eliza West, Emily Bates, but the one they're all averaging over 20 disposal a game this year. Tilly Lucas Rod kind of coming off halfback, and who did I just mention? Eliza West and as well through the middle. But the one that I'm really, and Jasmine Fleming, a young one that's come in there as well, obviously, famous family name. But the one that I'm keying in on as a real key battle for this week is Lucy Wales, a fellow younger ruck. I think she's 22, 23, so only a couple of years older than Matilda, and she's had a great career already. She's an All-Australian. I think she finished third in hit-outs last year in the AFLW. She accumulates a lot of ball as well. She's averaging 18.3 disposals a game this year, averaging 20 hit-outs as well. So very, very similar numbers, like Matilda's averaging a couple of disposals less. All of our players are averaging less disposals than most other teams. Again, in team stats, I think, just if I scroll across here quickly to the team stats, we are averaging, I was hoping I'd scroll quicker than that so you didn't get the R as I'm thinking, but 250 disposals a game for Hawthorn, 215 for us. So once again, flogging a dead horse, as I've been saying for a few weeks, we are just on the lower end of the disposal count, and significantly to our upcoming opponents. So as far as I'll get back to Lucy Wales in a moment actually, but since I've got the team stats up here, briefly, I'll basically, it's the same keys to the game as far as team stuff goes as it's been in the last few weeks. We have to make sure that gap isn't any bigger, and then we're going to have to dispose of it pretty well. What killed us last week against Brisbane wasn't, them having more of the ball. We're going to seed that for the rest of the year. That's going to be that's just a part of 2025 Port Adelaide AFLW football. It's just part of the story. I'm just there. I'm just accepting of it at this point. I want us to be better, and I trust that we will get better in the next 18 to 24 months on that front. But at the moment, with the kind of the DNA of this side, the youth, the inexperience comparative to a lot of other sides that we're playing. It's just part of the story at this point. So we're going to average. We're going to have less of the ball than them, but if we just don't let it blow out, is going to the big thing. Like if that average, that discrepancy is 35 disposals, let's see if we can bring that in a little bit. Like make life tough on them. Once again, is it predominantly the handball game is where they dominate. They average 44 more handballs than us a game, roughly. So, but again, despite that, we average 4 more inside 50. So last week, I think if you listened to the review, and thank you for listening if you did of the Brisbane game, despite a lot of the areas that Brisbane dominated us in, they didn't dominate us in the midfield game, hit-outs, clearances, etc. And inside 50 is only won by 4. So despite Brisbane, dominating in a lot of areas, we still are generating inside 50s this year. Like that is one thing that we're doing this year. It's just we're not disposing of it well. The disposal efficiency is down. That's what we've been talking about. We don't get enough disposals and we're not using it well enough because that's, again, we look at disposal efficiency average for these two teams. Now, Hawthorn are only 3% better disposal efficiency on the season than last this year. That's a shorter gap than we've had against some sides. So that might be an area, if we can make sure that we dispose of the ball relatively close to that average or even closer than that, then we're going to be doing okay. And then if we can make sure that disposal discrepancy doesn't grow, then we're going to be doing okay as well. But that's the thing that I've been saying this year is like teams are averaging more, are getting more of the ball, and the disposal efficiency is also better. So that 3% gap is actually, a little bit bigger if you think about it with the amount of ball they get. But with those numbers in mind, we're still getting inside 50s, which is different to, previous years against good sides. If we're getting beaten well, the inside 50s were also going against us, but we're getting the ball inside 50. We're just poor disposal inside 50. The amount of intercept marks and all that stuff I've seen this year, really frustrating. But there's aspects of our game that we are better at than we were a couple of years ago. It's just fleshing out those situational footy, that those triangle handballs, and handballs that actually go to it. And we're just a horrible handball team at the moment, and that's throwing us under pressure because we can't handball ourselves out of pressure to get then a decent kick away. So then we're dump kicking instead, which is also not the greatest tactic. So it's a frustrating one on that front this year. But there is some areas that we're a little bit better than, a little bit closer to Hawthorn than we have been in the averages to some other teams in previous weeks. Hit-outs, absolutely spot on. The teams have had the same amount of hit-outs this year, averaging 26 a game. Matilda is averaging more than Lucy Wales just by, I think, in a hit-out a game, or roughly, or even half hit-out possibly. It's very, very close for those. I'll get back to those two in a moment. Clearances, averaging 2 more clearances than them a game, 3 from the centre, and they're going a little bit better from the stoppage. So that'll be an area of real watch because that's where we were able to stick with Brisbane a bit last week. Was we had the hit out domination, and we were better at stoppage and centre clearance. So that's where we were able to get some forward pressure. It's just then we didn't dispose of it well enough, and Brisbane were able to rebound out of the back reasonably well and do the job there. So those are going to be the key areas again to watch this week. See if we can mitigate some of those differences. Stick to our strengths. But again, going back to an individual matchup to watch, again, Lucy Wales, great player. She's had herself a good year again as well. She's had 180 hit-outs for the year, which is 4th in the league behind our Matilda in 3rd, with her 196, with Jess Allen ahead of Matilda by 5, and Alice Edmonds from the Bulldogs well ahead in the league at 266. But as we saw, Alice Edmonds was an All-Australian a couple of years ago. Matilda had a great day out against her. It was a tough battle, but Matilda just outruns her in the game. But Alice Edmonds is an older, more veteran player. Lucy Wales, she does a similar, she's averaging about the same amount in clearance. Sorry, I'm rolling through a few screens here on my second screen. Trying to get back to Lucy Wales' stats, but she, obviously I said she averages just about 1.8 hit-outs less than Matilda. She averages pretty much the same amount in clearances. She does have more tackles in the year. Her marking is down on Matilda, but there's this different areas that you can kind of see that she plays some decent footy and can get a bit of possession, can take a couple of marks, can tackle and apply some pressure, and she does get her clearances as well, similar to Matilda based on seasonal average at the moment. Meters gained average on the year, Matilda's averaging over 120 more meters a game than her, so I think Matilda's overall around the ground game is still better, but it's going to be a great battle in the hitouts. I just actually should have a quick look at actually not 100% sure where Lucy Wales measures up. I did have a page open here before, but she's at 1 meter. She's at 184 centimeters, so she does give that's almost a couple of inches to Matilda, I think. So Matilda does have just a slight advantage in height, but otherwise, Lucy Wales still performs very, very well. And she is 22 years old, just having a look at now that I've got her page back up. She only got drafted a couple of years ago. So, yeah, she's going to provide a great, great challenge. She's a similar young ruck, has got some success in her career already, obviously playing high-level footy. She's going to play. She played finals with them last year. She's playing finals again this year at this point. It's just pretty much locked in there with how they've been playing. So that's going to be great. I said a few weeks ago I was really intrigued by the Alice Edmonds. It really is. Matilda is just so crucial to our kind of future. But these kind of battles are just fascinating and is a great learning experience for Matilda. And I think she's doing a really good job of coming up against these high-level rucks in the competition. The best rucks available to her. I think she had a really good game against Alice Edmonds a few weeks ago. She's got Wales this week. She's going to have Allen next week, so she's going to have face basically all of the top rucks in the league. I think when she had Mimstrom back at the start of the year as well, and I think she's grown. Her craft has grown as the year's gone on. Obviously, I think Jamie mentioned it in his notes in the review last week. Like she's taking far more marks a game. I mean, the fact she's averaging 4.7 marks a game, Matilda, when she sometimes at points last year it felt like she couldn't. I'd have to have a look at her. 2024 average, but I feel like she just was, she's just marking better this year and is providing a lot more in between the lines beyond her ruck craft, which is going to be crucial. And that's where she's starting to get the wins against the opposition rucks. She's generally winning pretty well in the ruck contest, or at least battling well, and it's coming and she's getting a few more by the end of the game. I think her fitness, she grinds down the opposing rucks as well throughout the game. We saw Alice Edmonds kind of hands on knees a few times towards the back end of that Western Bulldogs game, where a lot of Bulldogs tied in that game, to be fair. But I think Matilda particularly ran Edmonds off her legs a little bit. The Lucy Wales one will be, again, as I said, Lucy Wales is a lot more contemporary as far as her age and profile goes, and her experience in the league. So that'll provide a different challenge as far as she might have similar stamina. It is interesting looking at the time on ground numbers for the year. Lucy Wales basically spends just over 80% time on ground. Matilda's obviously over 90. So it'd be interesting to see if she does. Maybe she does require a little bit more rest. That could be partly because we're leaning on Matilda a little bit more, but Matilda's getting through the games well. So real key there for me, and I'm looking forward to watching that. I'm looking forward to just our last home game at Albert. And that is the last thing, the point to probably finish off on now as we get to the back end of this squad show. Get around Alberton tomorrow night. Going to be, I know we've had a couple of hot days here in Adelaide. Probably the first real hot days of the, incoming summer. Obviously still spring, but a couple of hot days. But I think tomorrow's meant to be down to low 20s again. So it should be hopefully a nice evening down in Alberton. I haven't done my patented. God, this cold is like, I can't enunciate properly because I've just got this phlegm sitting in the back of my throat. Just wanted to check the weather as well for tomorrow. But I'm looking at it earlier. I'm pretty sure we were looking at some a decent evening. 21 degrees tomorrow. Not much chance of rain. So we should be looking at a reasonable evening down there. I don't know what kind of wind or anything will be around, but Yeah, it won't be freezing cold. It might be a little bit balmy, possibly, if it's a little bit of what the carryover, because I know it's getting warmer again on the weekend. So it'll be interesting to see how that kind of manifests in that. But we're getting a reasonable day tomorrow. So get around Alberton. It should be some decent weather anyway. And it's footy. We should just expect that sometimes the weather's not always good. But I think tomorrow night we're going to be pretty safe that we can go down there, and won't be any chance of getting soaked or anything like that. It'll just be a nice night to be down in Alberton under the lights. And hopefully watch the ladies. It'd be lovely to do the job and have kind of a little bit of a miracle. I know it's long odds as far as the betting companies and whatnot at the moment, and certainly my expectations are that Hawthorn are just a better side than us this year. Ladder doesn't lie, and they've had some decent results against some decent teams this year as well. But I think we've also shown a propensity to compete with decent teams this year. We are not getting enough wins against them, and that's why we are where we are. But we've had some close losses, and that's on us predominantly. But we have also competed well enough that I think we can go on, and I think we competed well for a decent period of time against Brisbane last week. I think the only team that's really just blown us off the park this year is the Kangaroos, who are doing that to a lot of teams this year as well. So all I ask is we compete, work on a few of those disposal things. If we can keep those numbers in check, then we're going to be a chance. It's still going to be long odds. And some of the missing players are in particularly, I'd love to have a fit and firing Lauren Young out there. I'd love to have Piper Window out there. Love Kirsten Lamb to be available as an option as well. We are a little bit light on as far as some of that high-end talent in the side with a couple of those ones missing. But still, some of these girls, we were down a rotation early on last week with Piper out, Abby already out, no Kirsten Lamb, and we still competed quite well. So I think these girls, they go into the game knowing what they've got, who they've got around them, and compete well, see what we can do. And I hope that we can maybe just compete, make it a good game, and if we can sneak a miracle over the line by the end, then that would be a wonderful way to enter the weekend. It's great to have the Friday night, but win or loss, just compete. Got to start looking to kind of fix some of these things as we're looking towards 2026 already as well. So. And last but not least, a shout out again that it is the second week of Pride round this week as well. So we're wearing those Pride Guernseys as well. And it's a wonderful, wonderful thing that the AFLW does so well, so much better than the AFL men's in acknowledging Pride and the reasons behind it. There's some great writing out there and kind of explanations of what Pride is. It is just simply about being able to live without the feelings of shame. Not that anyone should feel shame for who they are, but society has put that shame upon people for too long. So, the acknowledgement of Pride and the celebration of it in these rounds is really, really important. So, once again, looking forward to seeing some dope Guernseys getting out there. Again, as I said, purely from an aesthetic point, even if you don't, you should always educate yourself on these things, even if you don't really know. It's just like we get some cool Guernseys out of it at the very least, but then through that, the prism of the Guernseys and the acknowledgement of it, hopefully it's educating a few more people to kind of read into these things and enlighten themselves as to the issues around that still exist in society in regards to people into the LGBTQ plus community. A really important round, and I'm glad Port Adelaide gets right around it, and look forward to seeing the Guernseys and the celebration down there. But that's about it. I'm going to briefly jump on the Patreon side of things. So if you're listening and you're not a Patreon member, then this podcast is about to finish. But if you are a Patreon member and you're listening through the Patreon feed, keep listening. There'll be that quick little interlude, and then it'll be onto the Patreon stuff. If you aren't a Patreon member but you would like to sign up and listen to the rest of the podcast, we do this every week. We just do a little bit of extra on the squad show for the Patreon members. You'll go, the Patreon episode will have a timestamp in the show notes to show where you go to. If you've listened to the half year, you don't have to re-listen to it there. You can skip through to the timestamp. If you're listening to this on the Patreon feed, you can. Patreon allows you to attach your Patreon account to Spotify, so you get the Patreon feed as it comes up as another Creed podcast in your Spotify feed as another podcast that you subscribe to. So it's very, very easy to connect to your listening devices and listen to it just like any other podcast as well. So it works quite well. That's about it though from this part of the show, the squad show. Hopefully we're back here reviewing a miracle win on Tuesday. But either way, we'll be back here on Tuesday to talk about it all. Thank you for listening, everyone. Can the pair.